Welcome to this Ask the Trainer for the month of August. This month we are looking at the Assignment Manager application versus the Graphical Work Week application. For those of you who are not familiar, my name is Ann Antonelli. I do the monthly Ask the Trainers, although it's been a couple of months since we've done one. I've been having a little bit of a problem with my throat and my voice, so I'm actually doing this particular Ask the Trainer as a pre-record so that I don't have to make everybody go through my coughing fits while I do the recording. So hopefully this works out for everyone. Today's agenda is looking at what we really need to do to configure all of these scheduling and assignment applications inside Maximo Manage. Prior to Mass 8 and 9, in earlier versions, you had to purchase these add-on applications. But now in Mass Manage 8 and Mass Manage 9, they are included. And there's more than just the work week, the graphical work week. There are multitudes of them. But we're going to start by looking at the Assignment Manager versus the Graphical Work Week because Assignment Manager has been around since version 4 or 5, and we want to take a look at how the Graphical Work Week kind of brings it into the modern age. So that's why we're doing the comparison of just these two applications. So to be sure that you have everything set up within your organization, for this scheduling and assignment configuration, you basically need to take 4 steps before any of these tools will work for you. The first one is to create one or more calendars inside your Maximo Manage organization. The calendars are in the administration application list, so it's usually a system administrator who will help you create those calendars. You can have calendars for each facility, or you can have a calendar for your entire organization that works together. That's why you have the option of the one or more calendars. Once the calendar is created, then you need to add one or more shifts. So these are the hours that your laborers work. You might have a day shift where people work 4 8-hour days, Monday through Friday. You might have people working 4 10-hour shifts. Some of them work Monday through Thursday, others work Tuesday through Friday. You may even have weekend shifts where people work 3 days in a row for 12 hours each day or something like that. You might have nighttime shifts. You might have middle of the evening, the second shift, the swing shift. All of those are added to your calendar so that you're able to assign the correct shift to each laborer within your organization. So once you've created those calendars, you've created the shifts, then you go into all of your labor records for all the people that you're going to be scheduling work for them. That labor record is where their crafts are assigned to them. What is their default craft, what they do all the time, and if they have any additional crafts that they can be assigned work. And you add that calendar and the specific shift they work on to each and every one of those labor records. Now, labor records actually sync behind the scenes with the person record. So you'll notice that the person record will also have the calendar and the shift on it after you save that information to your labor record. Then the fun kind of begins. At that point, once you have that set up, now you can start creating queries for the work that you want to assign to people and queries for the labor you want to assign to people. It can be one person at a time based on their labor record, or if your organization is already using crafts, if they're already using crews, you can actually assign work to crews as well. So here's just a quick comparison before we jump in and take a look at those tools. Assignment Manager has a 2-window configuration. It allows for one work order query and one labor query. It was really developed for the foremen and the supervisors for 1 week at a time to be able to quickly assign people, especially once we started getting into mobility and using iPads and things like that for people to go look at what work orders they were assigned. So it's really simple. At the top is your list of work orders that you need to assign them. Maybe it's a query based on you as the supervisor. In the bottom is the list of the people by craft that you have to assign the work to. And you basically click on a group of work orders or one work order at the top, click on one laborer at the bottom. When you assign it, it spreads it across their time based on the duration of the work orders. Assignment Manager does allow you to assign at the task level too. Our demo today is going to be strictly assigning at work order level. It gets much more complex when you start assigning work at your task level. When you're using Assignment Manager, you are scheduling the work and assigning it to people at the same time. So based on that person's work schedule and availability, if it says they're not available till Wednesday, you're scheduling your schedule start time on Wednesday. If it's an 8-hour task, the scheduled completion time will be the end of that shift on that Wednesday. The Assignment Manager also allows you to update individuals' time. So let's say you have all of next week planned and scheduled and everybody's assigned and they can see it in their start center and they know what they're going to do. And then Monday morning rolls around and one of your employees is out sick. You can go into Assignment Manager, mark that person sick for today, unassign all the work that they were assigned for that day, and see if you can assign it to others within your group. If they're out sick for multiple days, each day you can go in and you can unassign their work. If you're not able to assign it to other people because you don't have any bandwidth within that week, well, then you also have those work orders unassigned, so they're sitting in your backlog and you know that those have to be done and assigned the following week. And then as I said earlier, you can assign work to individuals or crews of people. Today we're going to keep it simple and we're going to just look at assigning individuals. Now the graphical work week view is much more modern looking. It's much more like our other graphical applications as well. So it has a 4-window configuration. The bottom still works with labor, but it splits between the labor and the craft information and their availability. And then the top splits between the list of work orders and a Gantt chart showing those work orders on a Gantt-like schedule. You have the ability in the graphical work week view, you create schedule records, the same as you do in some of these other graphical views or graphical applications. So you have the ability to put multiple work order queries. So you might have all your PMs that are due in this month or this week. And then you have your CMs separate from that. And then maybe you also have backlog. You can start out with that query and that schedule having just your PM work orders. You get those all scheduled. Then you go in and you add that CM query to that same schedule and you divvy out those work orders. And then if you see people still have remaining time available, then you go in and you add the backlog. Likewise, you can change people's schedules in here. And if someone calls in sick, you can then narrow your schedule down to just that backlog work orders to see what was assigned and unassign those work orders, add your PMs and your CMs back and divvy out the work because of that one sick employee. So the graphical work week view does have a little bit more capabilities to it, obviously. Also with that Gantt chart, you can reschedule things and move things around right on the Gantt, which people really like just through drag and drop. But it's essentially doing the same thing. It's scheduling and assigning based on craft and duration, just like Assignment Manager is. And it's assigning either to individuals or a crew of people the same way Assignment Manager is. Okay, so let's take a look. So here I am logged into my Mass 9 training environment. I'm just going to close my little virtual assistant so he's out of my way. Move that little AI button out of the way as well. And I said that I would start by showing you the configuration, showing you my calendars and shifts. So I'm going to go under my administration application. The calendars application is there. Shifts are inside the calendar application. You can see I have various calendars in here. The one that I'm working with is the TTC training calendar. Now, my TTC training calendar has a start date of 1/1/26 and an end date of 12/31/27. If I'm still actively using these same shifts and I don't need to make any changes and I'm getting close to the end of 2027, I can come in here and I can change that date to end in 2028 or 2029. When I save it, the resulting items are under this work period. This is what it creates, is it creates those work dates for each shift and all of the number of hours. So I can always come in here and extend this calendar. Some of my calendar days say they have 18 hours. Some of them have 20 hours. Some of them only have 12 hours. That's because this particular calendar has 3 shifts. I have my company day shift, my Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. Then I have one set of 4 days a week with 10 hours. I have just the Monday through Thursday. I don't have any Tuesday through Friday people. And then I also have that weekend shift I mentioned where it's 3 12-hour shifts. And that goes on Friday, Saturday, and Monday. So when you start adding those together, that's why you come up with 18 hours Monday through Thursday, 20 hours on Friday, and then only 12 hours on Saturday and Sunday. So that is the setup that we're doing there. Once that setup is done, then I will take a look at some of my labor records. And actually, I will just go into my labor application because I have a default query in my labor application. One of the little tricks of the trade for the assignment manager application has always been that if you create a query in the labor application with the people that you're supposed to schedule and assign work for, and you make it the default query in that application, it automatically shows up as the people that you're supposed to perform scheduling for over in your assignment manager. So I have 3 electricians, I have an inspector, and I have a mechanic. And I've put these little initials at the end because one of the things we've always struggled with in the training classes of these applications is 2 students having the same person in their labor list, or the same work orders for that matter, in their work order list, and trying to assign the work to 2 different people or things like that. So one of the things I came up with is to put my initials at the end of the people that are my people, so to speak, so that no one else in my class has the same people. They won't be assigning work to the same people. So it worked really well in the one trial we did, so I'm going to go for it in the next couple classes that I teach. Okay, so then inside each of these labor records, you'll notice that when you come down here to the calendar area, you'll see that all of these people are assigned to the TTC calendar. They don't necessarily all have to be assigned to the day shift, but I believe in this case they are. And then they have their crafts. In this case, this person is a first class electrician as their default, but they can be assigned to work orders that are just assigned to any electrician as well. So we have that set up. We could go into qualifications, work zones, and maps. That gets more complex, but the capabilities are there, even in the scheduling applications, to carry that information over from your labor records. And then, like I mentioned, the labor record is attached to or related to this person record. So if I jump over to the person record, you'll see that their calendar and shift is also updated there as well. So if you do have to change them, if they move to a different shift, or move to a different location, if you have different facility calendars, you do it in one place, and it really doesn't matter if you do it in people or labor, but since we're working with labor records, we usually do it in the labor record. So that is that final step. I already have my query, my AMA crew query. If I look over here in my list of queries, I have set that AMA crew, and I really should change the name of that. It really should be AMA team, because it's not a crew record, it's just a team of people. And I've set that up as my default query. And then I just go into labor and it's there. But that's going to assist me in Assignment Manager. So Assignment Manager sits in your work order module. It's under work orders. If you don't see it at your organization, it just means that your system administrators have not added it to any security groups. It doesn't need to be installed as an extra thing. It just needs to be made available for people. When you open up Assignment Manager, mine opens very quickly because I've been going into it a lot, but the first time you go in, it might take a couple of minutes. It is color-coded. All of the different scheduling and assignment tools have their own little unique color coding, and these colors can be changed either in the database configuration, or they can also be changed in the cascaded style sheets for your XML for your forms. So I personally do not like this yellow color. It's very difficult for me to see. So I might want to change that to more of a darker orange or something like that. But other than that, everything is kind of color-coded. In Assignment Manager, it's color-coded based on our priority. So it actually, the lower your priority is, the closer it gets to a red color. I believe 1, 2, and 3 calculated priorities are red. So if I were to open up one of these work orders and go in and change the priority of this work order from a 4 to a 1, save that change, and return back. Let's see, it hasn't. Let me actually go to work order tracking and then go back into Assignment Manager. And there we go. There in the Assignment Manager, there isn't really a refresh. You're going to see that you use refresh constantly in the scheduler tools, but in Assignment Manager, there really isn't. So the best way is just to jump out and jump back in. But now you can see that that particular work order, it's at the top, and being a 1, it's now red in color. Down below are my labor records, and I'm just going to go ahead and shrink my screen down just a tiny bit so that you can see both at the same time. And then I want to make sure that I'm looking at, right now I'm looking at kind of the remainder of this week and the beginning of next week, and I don't have anyone working over the weekends, and it looks like I don't really have a lot of people, a lot of time available. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over so that I'm seeing all of next week's schedule so that I can show you how to schedule some work in next week. So I have, let's see, it is over on my left-hand side. I have to remember exactly where it is here. Or no, it's actually under my actions. I'm sorry. So actions, select work date. And here I do have a refresh. I hadn't noticed that, but let me see if I can move my little AI button out of the way. And I do have a refresh work list. So I could have just done the refresh rather than go out and come back in. But I'm going to go ahead and move. I'm going to start scheduling on Monday the 10th. And I click OK. And now I can see that I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have all my people. Now, some of my people have already been scheduled for work. I can see that by their zeros, or they might be out of the office. I can actually click on this little calendar here to see, yep, they're actually assigned to work orders already. So we had done a little bit of scheduling for this work already. Now what I want to do is I want to get my mechanic assigned to a little bit of that work. So I'm going to choose this work order that is for 1.5 hours for the mechanic, and this work order that is for 4 hours for the mechanic. As long as I'm doing the same craft, I can do as many work orders as I want. And then I go down and I find my mechanic. If I have a lot of people, I could go into actions and I can actually narrow down, filter labor to match work that's selected. But I only have 5 people, so I can see my mechanic right here. And then I choose the day I want him to get started with his scheduling on. So I'm going to choose Monday. And you can see it didn't really do anything. It didn't pop up a dialog box and give me an option which order or anything like that. It just scheduled those 2 work orders for that first day. Now, again, I can always click on this little button, and this says he's going to start right away at 7. He's going to do this 1.5 hour job first. Then he's going to go on and he's going to do the next one and do the 4 hour job. And I can go in and change those if I need to. I have an electrician that is also supposed to do those same 2 work orders. So I can go up and I can choose the electrician's portion of those 2. And I can choose whichever electrician I want to work with. Maybe I want to work with Mark Jacoby here as my electrician. Now notice Mark actually has available hours on Monday, but he doesn't have available hours on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm just going to schedule him on Monday, and that'll be fine. Now they both have 2.5 hours left, but I want to see what's going on with him on Tuesday and Wednesday. And it looks like he has other work already assigned that's going to take up a whole day. So that's going to come into play when I look at some of these other work orders that need a mechanic and an electrician together. Maybe I should have Mr. Wilson here work the rest of the week on some of these other ones. But you can kind of see one thing you cannot do. You cannot choose the same work order, or 2 different work orders for that matter, 2 different crafts. Choose the crafts, so my mechanic and an electrician, and click on a day. It doesn't know what to do with that. It's not that complex of an application. I can take multiple work orders and go to a single craft, single laborer, but I can't do multiple work orders to multiple people at the same time. The caveat to that is if you have work, like you need someone to go out and take a look at a job to see what it's going to take to be able to start planning it. So you don't have any durations in it. You don't have any planned crafts or anything. If you have a bunch of work like that, you can actually do those schedules as long as it doesn't have, a specific duration, a specific craft, any of that stuff. It'll just put it on the people's schedule and they're considered an ad hoc crew. And you can do that puts them on for 1 hour. So it's a little bit complex. It's kind of a thing that came out a little bit later with Assignment Manager, but I do have a query here on the left-hand side. And here is a bunch of work orders. Now, I don't like assigning at the task level, so I am actually going to go in here and put is task no, so that I just see my work orders. There we go. And I'm going to close that filter again. And none of these work orders have a craft assigned. None of them have any labor or anything like that. We basically just need to go look at these jobs and see what it's going to take. So because they're considered kind of work orders without any data yet, you can do ad hoc, but understand how ad hoc works. So if I choose 3 or 4 of these work orders here, and then I want to go send, maybe on Friday, I want to send my inspector, my mechanic, and one of my electricians all to work on those work orders on Friday. When I click on it, they all get assigned all 4 work orders. And when I open it up, you'll see that each one of those work orders were assigned to them for just 1 hour. So it's one of those things, it's a feature of Assignment Manager. It is not available in Workweek View, and I'm not sure how many people actually use it, but just to show you kind of the full depth and breadth of what Assignment Manager can do. It's just very simple. It's work orders versus labor records and assigning the work. Okay, so now here we are in our Graphical Workweek view. The Graphical Workweek view is the first of the applications under the new planning and scheduling module. There are a lot of them in here. And it is one of the first ones that you'll see that it now works with these schedule records. So a schedule record is basically a record where you are creating how long your schedule is set for. Rolling schedule means it continues on week after week. I started it last week or the end of July, and I have it running through the end of this year. I start my work week day on Monday. I have my calendar as my TTC calendar. And in this case, I'm only working with the day shift, although I can use multiple shifts at the same time. Then I go in and I choose my query. I'm starting with the exact same query we used in Assignment Manager. The difference is in this Graphical Workweek view, I can add additional queries to kind of stack the work. I also have the ability to assign my query from labor, and I'm using the exact same query that I had before. But again, I can stack that work. So maybe I have my day shift, my night shift, and my weekend shift. Or I can even add individual people. This is especially nice when you're doing more of like the graphical scheduler schedule, but it can be used here as well when you're trying to work with outages and you're trying to figure out how many additional resources beyond your regular crew you're going to need to pull over to get the work done. Once we get this record set up, we just switch over to our graphical view, and you'll see that your graphical view, again, we do have color coding and all of that, but it's different color coding. But essentially, we still have our people in the bottom left-hand corner. We have how much they're allocated for work, what is their skill level, what is their shift. So we have a little bit more information here than we do maybe in the Assignment Manager. We also have a little button here that allows me to add additional columns. So if I wanted to add more information to know where people are, or in this case, like I don't really care about work location and work zone because we're all in one facility and we're not really tracking that information. I can unselect those columns and then I don't have them over there. That gives me a little bit more room to pull my calendar over here. But as you can see, top and bottom move together. So I lose a little bit of information on my list of work orders up here. So I may or may not want to pull it over like that because, my work orders, I want to see as much as I can. I also have this column up here for work orders. I can turn off and on columns. In addition to turning them on and off, I can also drag and drop them. So let's say I don't have the priority field. Here's work order priority way over here. Maybe I want to pull work order priority over to before status. Now I have my work order priority that I can see there. I can filter on any one column at a time. I'm right now filtering on my resources, but I could be filtering on my priority, lowest priority at the top. You can see if something's assigned, it's green, and it shows up on your Gantt chart. If it's waiting to be assigned, then it's in that orange color. And then there are some work orders in here. Let me just click on here. And maybe they're filtered out here again, but there were some that were just sitting in a Whopper status before. But I have these waiting assignment ones, and I can see quite a bit of information on them. I can pull this over just a little bit more, and now I can see the work type and start dates. These are target start dates. So it's telling me when do we think that this work is going to get started. So I have a little bit of difference in the look and feel. I definitely have more buttons and things. When I'm looking up here, these two calendar buttons move me week by week. So where I had to go into a little dialog box before, I still have the option to do that if I want to jump to a specific day. But if I just want to get 1 week at a time, I can do week by week with the forward and the backward buttons. A lot of the assigning is very similar. So for example, if I go in to some of these repair work orders and I select them, and these repair work orders are looking for a repair facility tech. Well, maybe I don't have a repair facility tech, but my mechanic can also do that work. So I could choose my mechanic. Here's that 2.5 hours remaining that he had on that one day. But I'm going to go over here and say on Tuesday, he's going to go over and help in that repair facility. And I can click on it. I should be able to just, there we go. I had to double click on it. It does tell me that I'm assigning the work to a resource that does not match the work requirement. So it does tell me that the craft that was planned is not the same. But if we know he can do the work, we can just go ahead and click OK. And actually, it looks like those were each 8-hour jobs. So now he's going to be in our repair facility for 3 days. And it takes him down to 0 hours remaining in his 8-hour shift each of those days. Now, when you're looking at your hours on this side in the graphical work week view, the blue time is telling you how many total hours you have of that particular craft. So let's say if we were just to kind of close things up here and not see our actual people's names, I have 18 and a half hours for my electrician. I have 16 out of the 24 hours looks like it's already been assigned, but I have 3 electricians, so that's why I'm seeing 24 hours. I only have 1 inspector, so that's why I'm seeing only 8 hours, and I'm seeing how much is remaining of each of those. And then I have a mechanic. I only have 1, so I'm seeing how much is remaining for each of those. I have work needed for the repair facility tech, but I don't have a repair facility tech. I chose to assign it to my mechanic instead. And then I can just pop those back open again if I want to. You can see it's kind of showing us how much everyone is allocated. It does highlight these in yellow. It does have them assigned, but it's very concerned about the fact that that craft is not the same. I could just go in and update the craft in those work orders, and then everything would come back to normal. But again, the color coding is there to just warn you and let you know kind of what's going on as you do your scheduling work. The same general rules apply in this graphical work week. It's just has a little bit more as far as features. Let's say I need more work for Mike Wilson here. He's my electrician, and he needs some electrician work. So I can come in here and I can say I'm just looking for electrician. Click OK. And I'm looking mostly for those waiting assignments. And then if I refresh my schedule, now I'm seeing my work orders with my electrician here. And it didn't bring me just the electricians. It brought me a couple of other ones too. But let me see if I can get it. There we go. I just filtered it again. And then now I have all the electrician work that I need all at the top. So I can choose all these work orders. Now I do have to pay attention. I have work order 1456 in here twice, which means I need 2 electricians. I can't assign both of those to him. He can only do half of the work. So I need to be aware that for 1456 and 1475, I can assign him the work, but I need to assign someone else, another electrician who's available, to also be able to do that work. But now that I have it, I have, let's see, 2 8-hours and a 4-hour. So maybe I say I'm going to choose this day starting on Thursday. And it actually moves that 4-hour shift all the way over here to the 17th. But I can change that if I want to. I'm just going to go ahead and click OK right now. And then with my Gantt chart here, let me just choose the next week with my Gantt chart. This is that one that went to the 17th. I have a couple different options. I could drag and drop it and try to get it back to, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or I can right mouse click on it. One of the things about all the graphical applications is they have tons of things on the right mouse button. I can default move it to today, or I could just move it to a different day. Instead of the 17th, I want him to work on that on the 12th. And click OK. And then move back. Now, I still have those 2 electrician jobs for someone else to do to go along with him. And it looks like Mark has those same 2 days available. So now I'm going to uncheck everyone else here. I'm going to choose Mark, and then I'm going to choose those 2 work orders that are waiting assignment for him. And I want him to start them on Thursday as well. So he does Thursday and Friday. We want them working together. If for some reason they had set one to Wednesday and one to Thursday, and we wanted them to work together, the Gantt chart allows you to reschedule just by going in and dragging and dropping. Again, you can right mouse click on the Gantt chart. You can right mouse click on any of your people. You can view their craft, but most importantly, a lot of times you want to just look at what, that was the wrong one, not crew assignment, but what he's been assigned to work to actually do. Let me see here. I think I need to go over, yeah, view his assignments are over on the calendar, and viewing his shift and craft skill work zone, all of that is over on this side. So things are a little bit different. I'm not quite sure. Some people like these kind of the button effect or the button look and feel. I definitely like the Gantt chart. I'm using a very small subset of work orders, but even just coordinating 2 or 3 people working on the same work at the same time, I like the way it shows me that work. We can click on different pieces and click on different work orders, and it'll show them to you. Notice when I click on this work order, it kind of puts the dotted line around it. And if I click on it again, it shows me the second part, kind of highlights down here who the people are that are assigned to it. And now that I've got almost all of this stuff assigned, I can go down here and I can look at different pieces of work and kind of see where things are. But I am still focused on that 1 week view. So when I scroll up to the top of all of this, let me just kind of clear what I'm doing here and scroll up to the top of my screen. Everything is still that week by week view. So you can see what's scheduled the week before, what's scheduled the week after, allowing you to do basic crew or basic team type scheduling 1 week at a time. There are also out-of-the-box reports. There's a few. There's a crew daily and a crew monthly, and then there's the labor daily and the labor monthly. So when you come in here, it'll ask you which month you're looking for, which year, which work list you're working off of. That whenever you see work list, that means which schedule, and then who are the laborers that you're working with. So when I'm looking at that work list, it's actually coming back out to what is that schedule called. That's what they're asking for in those reports. And Assignment Manager has similar reports as well. Okay, so wrapping up this demo, I know it was a little bit different with me doing it as a pre-record. but it allows me to edit out all of the times I had to clear my throat and cough during this session. If you do have questions or you want a more extended demo yourself or for your organization on any of these scheduling tools, shoot me an email over at ann@trainyourway.com. I do still have all of these additional Maximo resources, all these different links. I can send them to you in a document if you're interested. We have our More Maximo and our Tech Exchange and our Maximo Secrets. Our personal Train Your Way website is going to be updated within the next week or two. My husband's been working very hard on a new looking website for us that also has a learning management system that it will be hosting as well. So that's pretty awesome. I will be posting this YouTube video along with all of the others. So if you've already subscribed to our Ask the Trainer playlist, you will be able to just go into the playlist and get it there. I have not been as active on LinkedIn recently just because of some of the health battles, but if you are not connected with me on LinkedIn, please go ahead and invite me to connect, and you will be able to see a lot of the different things that I respond to and articles that I write and things like that. Other LinkedIn Maximo resources. There's a lot of great Maximo information put out in LinkedIn. And we have this Maximo Friday treats posted by Anna Lee. Anna Lee is one of the people that regularly attends my Ask the Trainer session. So I want to make sure that I give kudos to hers. Hers are great little kind of their articles, but it's all about what happens in real life at the plant, which is awesome. Julie Rampello does Maximo Minutes in her newsletter. Her newsletters are great as far as just giving you kind of top 10 tips and some tips and shortcuts on different applications and comparing applications, similar to what I did here. Chris Winston is out there doing a lot of Mass9 demos out on LinkedIn. So if you're not connected with him, absolutely get connected with him as well. If you're looking for a new Maximo position, Rick is mostly doing US, although I've been starting to see quite a few Canadian positions that he's been advertising as well. Rick Crory is the CEO of the nonprofit organization MaximoGroups.org. They put on a lot of our Western United States regional conferences like our West Mountain Mug and Pacific Mug and things like that. But he also does just an amazing job of sharing every job that's Maximo related. And then I added a new link down here. There's several of us working on this right now, and there's several people like Julie Rampello, Chris Winston, and Rick Crory themselves who are already IBM champions. If you're interested in joining Anna Lee and I on the path to become an IBM champion, there is a website specifically for it. It talks about what you do with all of your Maximo knowledge and how you can really share that with others and get kudos from IBM for it. So that is a new link on our Maximo resources site. Thank you very much for attending the Ask the Trainer. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. And I am really hoping that by September, I can do a demo that's live again. So let's look forward to that. And I hope everyone enjoyed this webinar. Thank you.